Yes.
Excuse me?
Yes.
It's 5:30.
If we are ready to go, do we have everybody that's gonna be presenting first? Here?
Yeah, Wayne's here.
Awesome,
Yeah.
just two. Excellent. So, I hereby call this meeting to order on this day of 3 March 2025. Sandra, could you please do roll call to show that we have a quorum?
Okay, Gemma Fabris, Angela Duhame. Here. Valerie. Mark.
Aye.
Okay,
Here,
we all here.
thank you. Did everyone get a copy of the meeting minutes from the last meeting?
Motion to,
I'm sorry, do you wanna take this? Go ahead.
no, I wanted to
No,
make
no,
a
no, go
motion
for it.
to not have Sandra read the minutes. We've already read them. It's just time consuming and.
Yeah. I agree. I will second it.
Second on that motion?
Second.
Sandra from reading.
Yay.
I think I saw Sandra. You're not a committee member.
No, I'm not.
Anybody second?
I did. I said that.
Okay, all in favor?
I,
Could you please tell me the date of the last meeting so that we have that on record?
That was
November 20th.
November 20th, 2024.
Are there any corrections needed to the meeting minutes? Anyone have any questions?
No.
Then, meeting minutes stand approved. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion approved. Second motion.
Yeah,
Approve
well,
the minutes.
it's already been,
So let's move to the new business, which is specifically hearing the proposals for the reprogramming of the recaptured funding. We've got 7, I believe, applications, and just to note that funding can only be used for non-public service projects. And who's gonna be our first presenter? I didn't see, maybe it's my fault, I overlooked it.
the agenda says,
No.
Oh,
radon.
it's second page. No, it's
No,
not.
that's the agenda.
Yeah.
Here.
Okay, super.
So 5:40 p.m. the schedule for community development.
Okay.
Great on.
Well, we can start early.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, rather. You guys that don't know me, my name is Wayne Sharkey and I work for community development. And I basically manage the property rehabilitation program and the lead paint hazard control program. So I've been asked to present both radon proposals for funding and matching. So to start with radon, I'm sure you guys have some questions because this is a new facet to that is basically adjacent to our rehab program. So radon has always been an eligible activity within rehab in terms of testing and remediation in properties that we service. However, now, as of last June, I believe, it is mandatory according to CDBG funding use. So what that means is that every property that we go into to do rehab, whether it be a roof, a house, heating system, general repairs, we have to test for radon. So it's really a simple process. Right now, the average cost for the testing, depending on the size of the property, is anywhere between $200 and $300. In remediation, we expect 28 to 30% of the tests will need remediation according to the state statistics. Right now, we haven't actually been able to do one. We haven't had one that's tested positive. But we expect at least 30% of the tests will reveal over the course of administering rehab projects a need for remediation, which those costs are a little bit grayer, on the low end, 2,500 to 3,500 are probably your average costs for remediation. And this request for funding is again in supplement to our active rehab program, which I'll be presenting on Wednesday. Does anyone have any questions?
Just one, how many homes do you expect to, do
The service in a year?
service?
So generally, it's anywhere from 15 to 20 properties up to about 30 units altogether. On average for an annual rehab cycle. That will change a little bit on the upside with our lead program because and I'll get into that in the matching fund section, is because if we were just running the rehab program, the numbers are kind of static. Lead adds more and more units to the mix. Sometimes it's combined because they will get lead and rehab. And so it'll shift the numbers, but on average, you can figure at least 25 units to 30 units altogether.
So does 60 grand, more than cover 30 units?
Depending on how much remediation we actually get into, so it's an
You're
average.
looking at it,
Right,
10 units.
right.
Um,
Is there flexibility is what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah,
Because there's more money requested than
then what we,
appropriate.
yeah, if we went just by the averages, yes, you're absolutely right. We asked for a little more simply because we don't know what the remediation costs will actually be.
Right.
We're forecasting to go by the average, but it could go higher, which would obviously change, so.
Could you explain a couple different types of remediation? Because I would imagine it's pretty site specific in terms of the structure of the house, the layout of the house, whatnot, what you can do just physically, and also sometimes I would imagine just the access to the house in some places calls for a higher price point, just because you've got to get perhaps equipment or something in there, and it's a little bit higher, so that would be helpful.
So there's two types of remediation, passive and powered, basically. And what it does is it's venting of the area by a cubic square. They measure the cubic square feet in the basement, or which usually the basement. There's a calculation based on that will tell them how many stories it is, how much ventilation they need, how much air turnover they need in that basement to remediate the
So
problem.
it's always
Basically, fan in
venting,
the
it's,
Basically, that's at the most fundamental level, that is exactly what it is.
it's always venting is the remediation, it's not like pouring.
So,
The passive would be paint.
well, passive actually could be simply having more airflow, and it could be a window vent, it could be, but you're right, there are some areas where you could put a hard flooring down, a substance that would block, although those are much more expensive means than.
Exactly, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because
Yeah.
I was just,
You could certainly cap a basement that had radon issues, but it would definitely be a much more expensive way to
and
go.
that's not something that you would probably be undertaking, you would just be doing the venting or.
Generally, when it comes to rehabilitation of a property and implementing the things in it, we are trying to juggle a lot of costs.
Sure.
So it's as much as you can get done within a property. That would take a huge chunk. It might come up, I mean, it might not. But it wouldn't be my first activity that I selected if I had to put a package together.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
Thank
if we cut you down 25%, you could still operate here.
Conceivably, yes.
Any questions?
All right, so moving on to matching, I'm sure you guys are.
I don't
Let's
think there's
do it.
any discussion on this. It's a mandatory.
It is a mandatory. We haven't asked for it this way in the past, so I thought you might be some question, but yeah, it is a mandatory to our $3.1 million lead grant that we bring, these funds in. Obviously, we're not asking for all of it in 1 year. We're asking for roughly about 25%.
Isn't it a 4-year?
Yeah, to 4 years, well, 3.
So we can expect you back.
Yeah. You can expect me back next year, if I'm still here. But, yeah, it is a mandatory, but I wasn't sure how familiar everybody was with the concept of matching, but, essentially, yeah, $325,000 is roughly the amount we are matching the $3.1 million, lead grant with.
Does anyone have any questions about the matching funds? How it works?
They have to have the funds. To over a 4-year period. So that they get their $3.1 million grant from the federal government. So it's kind of like, over 4 years, we put in 325,000.
Correct, it's not
And
skin in the game. I mean, when you go to the federal government, the lead grant brings in a facet of money. A lot of it's direct construction for lead hazard control work. Some of it's job training, some of it's education and awareness. They want each program to have a 10% mandatory match that we're gonna say, okay, the community's gonna bring this money into. They want to see that we're committing something over the 4 years as well.
and actually, it's the federal government's money.
Really, it
Actually,
is.
CDBG is actually, it comes from Hutton and it originates as a, you know, federal funding, but by the time it gets down to
Yeah.
the state is administered and down to the city level. It's washed of all its federal identity, so it can actually be
It's been
used to
watered.
match a federal grant. So
Yes.
that's why you can actually use these two sources of funding. CDBG is a very, very good grant to match many different types of federal grants. So that's why, and with the prerequisite, part of it is, you know, we'll give you this lead funding, but we want to know that you're actually doing something on your end too, to help out. So by using this, it's a very good way of leveraging funds.
It's generally the only federal funds that you can use to match other programs. Otherwise, they consider it double dipping kind of situation.
Well, no further questions for me. Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you for your time, guys. Have a nice night.
Good night, Wayne.
Norwich Public Works? I know we're running early.
Hey,
Appreciate you
that's-
getting here early.
That is not a problem.
I don't think I've met anybody before. I'm Brian Long. I'm the recent Public Works Director.
Nice to meet you. I'm Gemma Fabris. I'm committee chair.
I'm Mark Marcy.
And obviously, you know, Craig and Sandra.
He's why we're here.
Exactly. Awesome. So what are you gonna present today? Obviously, we have your application, so.
Today we're presenting again the sidewalk revitalization
This is the same application that you put in before?
for sidewalk revitalization in Tafolia for the sidewalks along South B Street from 10 to 12 South B to 54 to South 56 South B Street on both sides of the street. Currently, the sidewalks are in terrible condition, posing risk to pedestrians, and they're also non-compliant with ADA requirements. Basically, all of the curb ramps are in complete disrepair. And so you can see some of the photos that there are no curb ramps, there's no sidewalk, there's nothing there. Which poses a major hazard to both residents and especially those who are disabled for any reason. And
So the application is almost exactly the same as
Last year.
the scope is the same. The only thing that's changed is the price now. Because now we're a year later and the costs, we have to use the averages of other, of other jobs that we've done. So it's, yeah, that's the major difference between then and now.
Sure.
So, and it averages to about $225 a linear foot for the sidewalk that's being replaced with granite curbing.
So I guess my first question, I just have a quick question is if it's essentially the same application. Again, I just have to ask. One is what we really like to see with the expenditure of CDBG funding is community involvement. And if there has been any sort of reach out to the community at all about the sidewalk and whatnot. And the second question that I would have is, why did you target this area? Because we all know Norwich and there are many to choose from when you're looking at the disrepair of certain sidewalks. In
Right.
terms of benefiting specific, and obviously the target population that we're trying to benefit is one that is, more at risk than, certain other areas, as well too. So
From what I understand, that this area was defined as an at-risk area.
it is.
And that's why it was chosen 2 years ago or a year ago when this was originally submitted.
It's
Oh,
within,
it's to
it's
be
within the
requested.
tract, it's within the census block and it's within the tract which the
Right.
SBI,
I mean, if we,
is,
if we got into,
is
if we got
high risk.
into the community involvement with, you know, a charrette or talking, gathering the entire neighborhood. We're doing a very small section of sidewalks, relatively speaking, compared to the entire village of Taffel. It would be hard to single out a certain area like we did based on input, because everyone that showed up would say, do this section, do this section, do this section. Now, what we can do is we can target what we determine to be the worst condition section of sidewalks and then work our way up from there. And given future grants and future monies, we can put those monies towards eventually working our way through the entire neighborhood and making these improvements for that defined area that we were told was within the census tract,
It is.
for improvements. And we can make those improvements. We can daisy chain on those improvements and continue to go through the neighborhood with future funding.
Part of, I mentioned it because it was brought up last time, part of community involvement might be when you're actually replacing, C&Z and you're, laying down a new sidewalk and whatnot, that's a time that it might be interesting to think about planting some neighborhood trees that actually like function and are meant for neighborhoods and don't get into the sewers and don't get too high, and they're specific for that, things like that. That type of community reach out involvement, and you could partner with, other things, so that's.
And that could be something that could be an add-on at a later date as well. If we start by planting the seed of doing a section of sidewalks within this neighborhood,
Figuratively,
maybe we get people to start developing their homes and doing more work on the housing, whether they live there or whether they're renting it to somebody. If they see improvements happening, it tends to spur future improvements. And later on down the road, we could definitely talk about adding tree wells and having neighbors participate and get input as far as where they want those kinds of
I
things.
know that, I think what you bring up a couple really, really good points when you say that, which is if they see the city investing in them and asking them and trying to get them involved, then all of a sudden, you see a lot more community involvement and community caring. They're gonna start to take better care of their own because they feel like, it's a win-win situation with
That's the
more
hope.
community investment.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And that's just to really sort of bring up and strengthen the entire city.
And I think it was 3 years ago, we did a part of Prospect with some CDBG money. 3 years ago? Was it 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to see some turnaround because of that. We also did the bump out projects along
Awesome.
on Central Ave.
I've always wondered.
Yeah.
When you go into these neighborhoods, do you know how many are absentee owner rentals?
No, and I don't think that should factor in either. Honestly, I think that creating a safer walking surface and an ADA accessible walking surface for any pedestrians that are going by.
They live there.
Yeah, I mean,
If that sidewalk was in front of my house.
Yeah.
I would be on the hook for the whole sidewalk other than the granite curbing.
if you chose to use the city's program, yeah. But we have replaced sidewalks in other areas. Sorry, in other areas of town, we've replaced sidewalks with grant money. Lots up on Dunham Street. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the improvements that we did on Dunham Street. People love it, from what I'm told, and we did actually, because the funding for that project came along so closely that after one of the residents had done our sidewalk program that you speak of, we actually did get them a refund, because as part of the Dunn Street Improvement Project, we didn't have to redo the sidewalk in front of theirs, so we came up to here, we came up to here. And then we said, hey, you only did this 2 years ago, here's some of your money back, or, well, I don't remember how much we gave them back, but I think,
Yeah.
you get my point.
Yeah.
Where, we can do large sections of sidewalks under a grant program, aside from the city's sidewalk program. We can't necessarily just grab a chunk of capital funds and say, hey, we're gonna go do this, because then they're saying, hey, that's city money, why are you going?
Yeah.
The same reason that you don't wanna necessarily get as much input as you can from the neighborhood until you're getting into parts where you're doing additional improvements like tree wells and that kind of thing in the future.
So. Is 415 a hard number for you guys, or is, because we're looking at $400,000 in request more than we have funds?
Okay, I mean, this is the is this,
It's a reprogram.
this is the reprogramming, right? Yeah, so we reapplied with the same project because Craig had asked us to reapply.
No, I understand.
So it is not a hard number, not at all.
Okay.
It's like I said, the numbers are the numbers, the linear feet are the linear feet. You give us $225, we can put in 1 linear feet of sidewalk. And, you know, I don't want, I'm exaggerating, but you get my meaning.
I do.
You know, if you cut it to $250, then we'll give you $250 worth of new sidewalks, curbing, curb ramps. And we'll put it in the spot that makes the most sense. And, we'll go
Next
from
year
there.
We'll see you.
And then we'll ask again and we'll just keep going from there, yeah. Yeah, and honestly, I'm kind of hopeful that seeing these things go in, maybe you'll get a few people that say, you know, maybe I do wanna take part in the sidewalk program, and that's John's thing.
It happens, you get 1 or 2 people who are like, oh, my neighbor did it. Now I
Yeah.
wanna do it. And it's like,
When they see their neighbors doing it, then they, you know, and it's a great deal too. I mean, a 10-year no interest loan, I mean, that's not bad, and we pay for the curbing, so. Anyways, that's everything I got.
And you're gonna use your own force accounts to do it, right? You're not gonna hire an outside contractor to do the sidewalks.
No, John does the design himself.
we do the design,
He
yeah.
puts together,
But
we
we-
put together the design specs and plans ourselves, and then we put it out to bid. And we'll do the same for this project, or however much we can do.
Thank you.
Angela's not answering the question. is she?
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
She's muted.
please, Angela, and so, I'm sorry, did we meet our last committee member, Angela, who
Okay,
I had to take this via Zoom and
Sure.
really happy for her presence. Angela, what's up?
Hi, I'm here. I'm good. I'm listening to you. I am still kind of recovering, so I'm good.
We're doing a pulse check. We're the
I'm here.
pilot we did last week.
Barely, but making it.
Does anyone have any further questions?
okay,
With that, thank you.
thank
Appreciate
you. And I'm gonna stay here for the next one too.
Austin, please do.
You know, sorry, one.
I can start.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Dan Coley, building official for the city. I also am the supervisor for our blight enforcement team. And we're asking for some money to be relocated for emergency demolition for properties that are severely blighted. We don't actually have all the properties identified yet, but I brought some examples of properties that would be the funds would possibly be utilized for. One of them is 177 Central Avenue. This is when you were asking about community input. We've received a lot of complaints, and we have a lot of issues with this property because it's being used for drug use.
It's
So-
it's not in the packet. He just.
I just brought
printed it out.
the-
If you wanna pass
Yes.
them around, Dan.
And that's that one there, the owner is deceased, so it becomes very difficult to get any action on those properties. So we have to take him on as a city.
Who's responsible for it if the owner's deceased, who,
The estate at
The
this
state-
point.
I mean, there's no living heirs that
No.
it transfers over to or anything like that?
No one's accepting the responsibility for
Got
it.
it.
So
And the
If-
taxes are due on it?
taxes are due, so now it's a point of whether or not we do a tax sale
right next door to Ideal Skate.
Yes, yes. So it's not that's not an ideal situation to have, no pun intended,
Yeah.
you know, in that neighborhood. And so that's a property that we would like to see cleaned up or, you know, and removed if at all possible.
What do you do, are you planning on, what are you doing with the vacant?
So we have a number of options on anytime we have a property like that. The city could turn around and sell it for possible redevelopment. It could potentially be offered to the neighbors for, you know, to be able to take it
Community
over.
garden or something like that?
Community garden would be an option. You know, the skate shop could use it for a parking lot, and that would take people off the street and put them in the parking lot, so they wouldn't have to use up as much parking for the
How would
other
that work with the
neighbors.
skate shop, by the way? I mean, would you lease it to them or something like that? Or
No, it
would
would
you
be,
just say,
you'd have to
hey,
sell
you
it to
can,
them.
you can,
Yeah.
you'd sell it to them?
Whether it's for $1 or an actual monetary number, that would be something that would have to be later decided.
Yeah, the city, when, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but when these properties come up that wind up being taken over for back taxes, the city has the option to offer it first to one of the abutters before it goes on the open market.
Got it.
Have you ever worked with Habitat for Humanity on?
Yes.
Because we had the regional director come in and say, at the time they owned 11 properties in Norwich, and they could not take any more gifts of property because we tax Habitat for Humanity on blighted property that are gifted to them. Even though they're
Nonprofit.
a nonprofit, and
I don't
that's
know.
because the building assessor has the discretion. Have you guys ever?
I've never dealt with the
So,
tax.
yeah,
on it.
so I've, so recently, so these properties here are just part of the example. And I'm gonna pass along another one on Laurel Hill that's also been long blighted and we get a lot of complaints on.
Yeah, that's that.
And there are many more beyond that one. But that's something I'm having a discussion right now with the tax assessor because some other communities have had very good success in capping the taxes at a certain level for a period of time to allow people to develop the properties and then, you know, later down the road, they eventually get to paying full taxes, but a lot of the properties I'm discussing, people don't want to touch them because there's so much work that's involved in fixing them. So if you're giving them incentive to maybe take them on, then I think we're more likely as a community to be able to get those properties to move forward and remove those blighted situations in many neighborhoods throughout the city. And that would be, I think, beneficial, and he's on board with that. So that's separate from that other discussion would have to be, I mean, I could approach him on that question too, because Habitat has taken a number of properties, but they tend to take ones that they know that they can develop. That one's on a very small lot and it might be difficult for someone to put something back there.
I was just, you know, because I think it's quite, you know, when a house is rehabilitated and occupied by a family who's learned to, you know, financial planning skills and how to pay their bills, you know, has skin in the game in constructing the house. The neighborhood effects are, you know, I wrote a small policy memo on this, but I never presented it to our committee. You know, there are some, you know, the benefits greatly outweigh
Absolutely.
the you know, having to tear it down at our expense and you know, basically giving it away. And it's foolish for the town to tax Habitat when they're providing a community service.
And I agree, and the property is obviously sitting and no one's paying the taxes anyway. So as if we have a potential of maybe at some point collecting decent taxes on it. Now, there are other agencies, not in other groups, not just Habitat, that do similar things. There's a group that's operating out in London and they've expressed interest here. Their concern is that the people the way their program works is they start off as a renter with the possibility of owning the property, and during that process, the rent goes up and up and up till it gets to the point where it'll be their supplying their mortgage. It allows home ownership for people like yourself. I mean, explaining that
generally couldn't afford to do that. And they do have a pride in ownership, which is benefits because they keep up on their property more likely. But the downside is that most of those people have a difficult time with the taxes, so with New London works with them on capping those taxes for a certain period of time before they allow to go up, so that's something else to discuss in the future. But that's some of the things that could happen to these properties, but some of these are, if you saw the one on Laurel Hill, it's been allowed, the roof's been off of it for many years. And it's just become to the point where it's just not safe to keep it up, we just recently took down 37 West Stain Street. And that one ended up being an emergency that taking that one down, that it just, the person bought that in a tax sale from the city. It's not a really viable property on that one, unfortunately, so it could be just open space or, at that point, unless someone develops property behind it. And you can't really get to it, there's no possibility of putting a driveway in.
With this demolition, you're gonna take everything off the site, right?
Yeah, it would not be the same as, because this would be more on the line of blight remediation, not just to make it safe.
Right.
So on a property like this, the intention would be to leave the property, like if you took the house down, have it completely removed and then just have grass growing there so that it's open space until, unless we had somebody that came in and said, I want to rebuild right away. On a piece of
Are you
property.
required to, if there's an underground oil tank, if you're, are you required to go
yes.
ahead and fill it?
Yes, yeah, so we wouldn't fill it, we'd have to remove it.
Do you have to remove it?
Yes,
Okay.
you can keep it, on your own property, you can keep it, but we wouldn't be able to, the city wouldn't be able to keep that.
Right.
Liability to have it there,
So,
No, it's asbestos on the basement pipes.
yeah, that all gets looked at, they do an environmental before they do a demo. And they'll remove all that to reduce the cost of the demolition. Unless it's 37 West Stain Street where you couldn't go into our property.
so Craig and I had a discussion about this a few months ago with regards to property demo. And if you have, obviously, there are a lot of federal grants out there that can pay 75%, where CDBG can match the other 25. But the restrictions would be, they'd be applicable to specific things, which is any property that would be located within an SFH flood hazard area, for example. And also, if you use those funds, then you'd be required to turn it back into a flood, natural floodplain function, meaning it could be used for a park or a garden or something like that, but you couldn't actually build on it. But just to consider that if you, chose them, picked them out and figured out which ones, if there are any blighted properties that you wanted to do demo, please bring them forward.
Okay,
if
that would,
they
there
fall
would be
within it.
properties, but the only thing is, the only consideration that I would have to look at is whether or not they're in the zones that you're
That's it.
targeting.
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think, I know that the couple that you sent me, Craig, were so far out. I mean, no. But there are obviously others, and also just for your consideration too, on another note, it doesn't have to be necessarily a blighted property, but one that floods repeatedly because of where it is. That just for your consideration that this is possible and we could look into exploring federal grants that could be matched with CDBG that would help you out with that. So I'm thinking an obvious area would be down by Domino's,
Oh, yes, yes,
floods every time.
Mhm.
Every time.
every time.
So, maybe that whole area you could consider in the future thinking, okay, let's work on maybe taking some of this out, let's put a nice walking trail along the
Mhm.
river or something like that in a park. Who knows,
Absolutely,
whatever.
Well,
But
isn't that what you
but
do
bring
with
that
the
up to
old,
the committee's attention so that we can. use
nutmeg,
that.
yes.
It's just open space now. Yeah.
So that has happened, and I do have properties that would be in that I could think of that would be, that'd be fit under that, the barn on the end of your road there, but I don't think that's
Oh, yeah.
would qualify for the funds. But there are properties that definitely
It's easy enough to check out. It's
Yeah.
it's easy enough. In fact, I believe that at this point, you can get an acquisition demo grants from FEMA where basically, it already checks out where you meet all the requirements. You don't have to run a BCA or anything like that, as long as it is seated in the floodplain.
okay.
So, I mean, they make it really easy because it's also a very good thing, obviously, to
Absolutely.
do, because, otherwise you're looking at, insurance rates just continue to go up. and
Yeah.
whatnot. and they're going bankrupt. So,
Yes.
with that said, any questions? Angela, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you for that thorough explanation too. I appreciated it. Some things I didn't know, so thank you.
Glad you guys put on the property on.
Yeah, I'm scared.
Yeah, it had to be done, and it wasn't something we could do because of hollow lines and.
How did they get up there?
They had to use a loader to lift up a machine and then drive it onto the wall up there.
Is there steps?
No,
Like
there are
people-
steps, yes, there are steps,
Okay.
yes.
Easier to walk up there than it was to get any
Yeah.
kind of equipment up
I
there.
think-
Yeah,
One quick question, before we let you go. How many properties right now are you targeting roughly?
I would have to look at our list. I'm aware of at least 5 properties that have recently sent out orders to either fix it or demolish. So there are properties that we have, and we get calls on a regular basis. Now, some of them, Brian and I spoke earlier, there's one at 14 Star Street that's in really bad condition. But that one is, someone owns that property that's responsible for it, and it's in danger of falling into the neighbor's property. So the city may choose to push it over into their property so that at least it's made safe. But that's not something we'd utilize the funds for, because I think that we would be able to eventually get the owner to take care of it. Through the process, we just need to make sure it's safe right now.
that one is actually accessible, so we can
Yes.
push it into itself and
Wow,
make it not fall
Yeah.
onto the neighbor's house.
wow.
There are also a number of garages. There's one on Merchants Ave that's in really poor condition that the owner may not have the funds to do it themselves. And there's a couple other ones that are in a Central Ave and Prospect Street that we've also identified that are pretty poor.
So when there is an owner and they are alive, do you ever recapture the funds from them?
We have, a lot of times it's when it changes hand. Most of the time. So what happens is that it'll just, even like people that are own it can't afford it. Or can't afford to do the work. So what happens is we end up doing the work and then we end up putting a lien on the property.
Yeah.
So eventually we will recapture that money. However, there are some that maybe it's sooner than later, but they just don't have the funds right now. And then, somewhere down the road, they're able to repay that. We've had some that repaid some or all of it, just to kind of make things happen. Because if someone was to come back and say, hey, I could pay that, but I could also put the money into the rest of the property to improve it. Because I think in the past, there was a rental property where it had a smaller building and a bigger building. And they just put the money, we allowed them to put the money into the building, or rather than recap, it was better for the community to do it that way.
And that money, when you put that lien on, whatever the cost of demolition has to come back to the CDBG program
Yes.
as program income.
Yes,
So,
yes.
if there's some, they sell it for 100,000, we put 40 in, we get our 40 in.
Yes,
The 60 is the homeowners or
Yep.
whatever's property owners.
yeah, and when I'm speaking, there's a lot of different sources of money, so that not all the same, but we would understand that.
I mean, it's like the skate shop.
Yes.
You can't sell it to them for $1, it's gotta be a reasonable cost. If it costs
Okay.
you 30,000.
Yeah. Yeah, pay 30,000.
Yeah.
Yep, okay. But if we turned it into a park or an open space,
It's,
Then-
nobody's ever gonna get program income.
Norwich owns it.
yes,
Yeah, good
Okay.
question.
okay. Got it. So
Any
we'll
other
look at
questions?
that, try to recapture.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
Thanks for getting here early. Norwich Housing?
We are.
Hello, all.
Hello.
My name is John Mainville, and I'm the modernization coordinator.
I'm Joanne Dragg. I'm the Deputy Executive Director and Finance Director for the authority.
I'm Eric Bastian, I am the maintenance supervisor for the housing authority. I brought my entourage.
We
And
never gang up on you.
you're always good. As always, I just want to thank you again for your past one, and good share. Definitely, makes a difference in renovating home properties. And it also helps bringing in other funds, other grants, to know that we're working with the community development, like DOH and Connecticut Housing Finances, it really has helped bringing in some money for there, do some bigger stuff, bigger grants. So this year's project, we're looking at, and that's why I brought Joanne, she can explain it a little better at an affordable housing project, and we're looking for new boilers, efficiency boilers in here. They're combos, they're hot water and heat.
Yeah, they're condensing
Right.
hot water.
High efficiency boilers, which the ones right now are failing, it's not failing, Eric talked a little bit about that too. And they're very hard to get any kind of parts for. It's usually rehabilitated parts or something, you know, to that respect. And pretty soon we're gonna have to stop replacing them and maybe use some of them parts just to keep the other ones going. So, and they're very inefficient. So with that, who wants to start? You want to give us a little bit of
I'll tell you about the State Affordable Project. The State Affordable Project was built in 1989. And that is the last new public housing that was built in Norwich. State Affordable was built as a step up from federal low-income housing, but a step down from state moderate housing in which you had your own duplexes. These are row houses. The land was in the middle of another development, which was a state moderate development. They are row houses. They are built on slab. So when you walk in the door where you think you have a coat closet is really the furnace, because they're on slab. And the rent structure in your state properties, of which we get no subsidy for, the only subsidy that the Housing Authority does receive is in federal public housing. This is a state program. So it's state affordable is how this program was built. They have base rents. And we've managed to keep the base rents low. So a 2-bedroom is $380, a 3-bedroom is $395 a month, and a 4-bedroom is $410. Well, when these were built, the only 4 bedrooms we had were in our federal development. And we also have handicap units here, 2-bedroom handicap units, which we didn't have in other developments. So for the Norwich Housing Authority, this was a good project because it gave us more to offer for our low-income tenants. And currently, you need to have income between $27,000 gross in order to be able to afford the base rent, plus your utilities, except for water, of course. And we provide a stove and refrigerator. So it's a good step to move them onward and out is really what public housing is meant to be. And right now, about 1/3 of our residents actually pay base rent. So there are very few that do pay more than base rent. We call it excess of base, but it could be $27 more than that. They are recertified, of course, every year so that we know that we are properly charging the right amount of rent. We have the 686 units of housing that we physically maintain. And so these 40 units, it's very hard because you can't commingle funds. So the rent that we get is it. There's no subsidy, nothing can come from another program. So it needs to be self-sufficient. And as these projects are 36 years old, they're requiring a lot more maintenance. Not only with just furnaces, but other turnover in units. It's not just a paint and clean and put somebody else in. You know, actually, you could have had 10 families in some of these units over the past 36 years. So with that, Eric will tell you what he needs in terms of the furnaces.
Yeah, as far as like John was saying, a lot of the boilers are 20+ years old. 20 years ago was the beginning of electronic controls, if you will. That's what's failing first on these things. They're not really readily available. We've kind of skated through with, I have a vacant, my heating company will call me after hours, hey, do you have a vacant? We will have to go actually rob that part to get Mrs. Jones going again, so she can have heat and hot water. Then we try to find that part the next day. It may be a month or more to find it. I know, for instance, my last one that failed, my heating company, thank God, drove all the way to Rhode Island to another parts facility just to get the part to get that one going again. So that's what we're up against. And then efficiency, they're just not efficient being that old, you know? And that closet Joanne was talking about, this boiler that's in there, literally, you can barely put your hand in there. Where it was, when we put the new one in, that closet is equipped with a floor drain, and the new thing is like a suitcase mounted to the wall, extremely efficient. A lot more room to get in, work on. It's just a lot more user friendly for the tenant on their bill, as far as that goes. Well,
So each unit has its own heating
each
system.
unit has its own boiler, yes. Yep,
And the
So you're looking to
tenants-
put forward 40 boilers?
yes,
Actually,
The tenants
41.
pay for
about 40,
the,
yes.
the tenants pay their own utilities?
Yes.
Except
Yes,
for water.
except for water. So they're paying their gas, yeah. and electric.
Where are these located?
Asylum Street, Western Ave.
Oh, okay.
You know where Silent Pizza is?
I know,
You would take the
yeah.
left up Western, yep,
Yeah,
up in there.
okay.
It's the brick buildings.
Yep, all the bricks.
They're tucked right
Yeah.
inside
Yeah, I
of
know.
JFK
Sullivan
one.
and
Yeah.
Kennedy.
Sullivan Drive and Kennedy
Yeah,
Drive.
yeah.
Yeah, and there's a maintenance shop there too, which has a boiler and an old laundromat, which we're looking to get going. So that's another boiler right there.
That's number 41.
Yeah.
So that's actually a very reasonable price that you're. Because condensing hot water heaters are usually, aren't they like 10 or 12?
Well, this is only
I
for
mean,
half.
Huh? I know, this is
Yeah.
phase one.
Phase one, yeah.
Right, right,
You know,
Yeah,
if
it's
you're
some-
looking to do 20 units,
right.
you're looking at 12,000 per unit.
Mhm.
That's a really reasonable price.
Well, it's, if we can bid the whole project together, it's
Yeah,
rather than split it up.
Yeah.
and, you know, it usually comes out cheaper. The other thing that Eric didn't mention is some of these baseboards too. That's on a
yeah, and that's.
cost as
well,
well. Some of them got beat up pretty good.
Oh, yeah, after 30
And
years.
we would have to change so many. feet
And that's
of that.
included in the estimate.
That's correct. So much of it is, and then the rest is even.
Yeah, it was like 10 feet per unit or something like that.
Yep. Yeah.
I forget the number.
Some of them we could get away with just doing covers.
You're right.
Some of them, the fins are just
Yeah, yeah,
flat.
flat, yeah.
There's absolutely no efficiency with them whatsoever.
So we think this is a definite need and an excellent project for this particular development. And I think it meets, as I always say at the end, I think it meets the community developments.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know,
it's a physical
yeah.
project.
$200 and, you know, something that is needed out there now. So
No,
safe,
and it's-
safe and sanitary housing.
It's got a good estimate,
I think those.
you know, it's actually well done. You know, I like the cover sheet explaining what you guys wanted, why you wanted it.
And it's
Probably one of the better-
pictures of the boilers here too.
Probably one of the better requests I've seen over the years.
Thank you.
Yeah, if anything new that can help the tenants lower their costs is in today's market.
Yeah, you actually listed all the tenants with their incomes.
Mhm.
Family sizes.
So that's what we're doing, and I'll be back Wednesday for the other.
You ain't getting any money.
So,
Just blowing smoke.
yeah, it's our executive director, but he had to go to a wake tonight, so, but Joanne's been around for a long time, and I think she explained everything. Very well. That's all I got. Any questions?
I'm good. Thank you so much for the thorough clarity and very, very, laid out very nice as well. I agree with that as well. So-
You got your work there. Right? I would've looked at
She's
it.
up there, yeah.
Okay, and our community development project for this year is off and running as it is.
Oh, that's right.
Today.
Okay.
Today. Today.
Mhm.
So,
Good.
so we'll get that done in.
Josh, do you have any questions?
Couple months.
Not anymore, no, or I actually didn't have any questions because it was a really, pretty thorough. And you guys, did, much better of a request than you've ever put before. But no, it was, like I said, it was self-explanatory and, there was an estimate, the estimate was, detailed enough so that I could figure it out. And, the price is right for.
Yep.
All with piping and element replacement, cover replacement. It looks like a very, complete, I didn't really have any questions at all.
Appreciate it. Thank you. We try to make it as simple as possible. So,
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you all.
Thank you for your time.
Hey, you can tell me.
that's all right, guys.
Is somebody out there?
Yeah.
See you, Johnny.
Oh, I sorry, I thought you could see with your line of sight.
I can.
I get you that email for that.
No, if I see anything like that, is that an issue?
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
Right, in conflict.
That's what I thought, and that's what.
Hello. Thanks for
Hello, how
coming.
are you?
Good.
Thank you for having us. I'm Anastasia Marvin. I'm with Eastern Connecticut Housing Opportunities.
Awesome. We began early, so we're running early, so if you are ready to begin, we can, 8 minutes early, we can give you back a little bit more of your day.
Certainly. So I'm Anastasia Marvin with Eastern Connecticut Housing Opportunities. I am the Director of Property Management. We submitted a grant application requesting funding in the amount of $200,000 to help us make some improvements at 3 of our properties that we have located here in Norwich, Connecticut. One of our properties is located at 2224 Fairmount Street. We are looking to replace the rear decks that we have on the back. They're little deteriorated and we think it would help build the community at that property. We're also looking to replace a French drain or install a French drain at a property located at 500 Boswell Avenue. We currently are experiencing some drainage issues. With the winter time, we do have some water that's building up, so we would like to make that improvement. It's also causing problems with the structural integrity of the property. And then the last property we are looking to make improvements at is located at 420 Norwich Ave. We are also looking to replace the decking there as it is deteriorating as well. And we think that the aesthetic improvements of replacing the decking would help improve the neighborhood.
Are these homes that the Norwich Housing Authority owns?
No, they are owned by Eastern Connecticut Housing Opportunities.
Oh, okay.
ECHO for short.
How come the property owner at 500 Boswell, the property owner that's the runoff is coming from, how come they're not responsible for the mitigating their water, the just water flow?
There's actually a large distance between, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Boswell.
No, well, I am familiar with Boswell Ave, but not the particular property.
There's basically a ledge behind Boswell Avenue, and this water flows down the ledge until it comes out of the ground right at the driveway location, basically.
Oh, okay.
And then in the winter, it freezes and ices over the driveway.
Yeah.
And parking lot.
So it really is, there's space.
Right. The problem is it's running on top of the ledge probably, and the ledge breaks out right at the parking area. So
Yeah.
there's no overland flow per se that's coming from the upper parking lot. It's natural
It should have
groundwater.
been mitigated at construction rather than.
Right. Yeah, so the house was built into the ledge, it's basically dug out of the ledge. Old stone foundation, so it's impossible to fully seal it.
You had an estimate that was like 29,000 for that piece of, for that particular property that was done like 7 months ago.
Mhm.
And you're now looking for a fair piece more. I forget what it was.
59,150. 59,000 for both what?
Yeah, 59,000, I think it was. I forget what the
59,150.
estimate was. The estimate is in your proposal.
Right, the main difference on those estimates is the prevailing.
Yeah, and that's, I didn't see an estimate for, Fairmont, for, Norwich. So I wondered how you came up with the fiscal dollar amounts for the properties.
Just for the record, my name is Andrew Woodstock. I'm the Director of Real Estate Development for Eastern Connecticut Housing Opportunities. We do most of our own planning and estimating in-house. I have over 40 years experience in the construction industry, so that's where the estimates are coming from. For the Fairmont Avenue, for example, we're talking about a rear exit stairway that's 3 stories tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a large structure. It basically needs to be replaced in its entirety. So we're talking about a pressure treated deck with limited access. We actually have to get access to that portion of the property through the church parking lot.
Will you have to dig pier footings and all that?
Yeah. New footings, new posts, the whole system is coming down.
Yeah.
In the back, from the ground level to the top deck is probably about 35 feet. So we're talking about, a turning staircase that's, 3 stories high. On 418, 420, those are the old mill houses across the street from Bob's. In these, these houses have a second story. Originally they were built as quad units, first floor, second floor. So the second floor units have a pressure treated stair and landing that are coming down from the second floor common entry down to the grade, which needs to be replaced periodically. I'm not sure you're aware that that also has a secondary street in the back there, Shetucket Avenue.
Yeah.
So it's 4043 Shetucket and 42 Norwich Avenue.
And I guess the last question I had was, because the grant requests exceed the funding that we have by $400,000, is, can you sharpen your pencil and still get your work done?
Yeah, we may have to skip one of the projects, for example, to get the work done. We'd have to evaluate, what's the biggest priority, which, given the end of winter, may be that we're looking at the Fairmont Street and Norwich Avenue properties first. There isn't much we're going to be able to get done until
Until spring.
Yeah.
Until the frost is gone.
Right. And in that particular case on Boswell, we're going to actually have to chip out ledge in order to get the French drain in.
I just wanted to comment, I saw your implementation schedule and as well for you too. It takes about 100 days or 120 days to get this whole process worked out. We have to post in the paper for 30 days.
Mhm.
And city council approves it, and then HUD, if they're still around, has to approve the substantial amendment, so. It's quite a bit. We just did some homeless money, and we're only now getting to it and started with Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it takes a while.
That's basically, I'm just looking at exactly, that was a perfect question, because I was just looking at our statement. Looking at your implementation schedule, and this would push it minimum 3 months ahead, so you'd be,
Yeah, you'll be
you
out
know,
in
you'd be,
summertime, late spring.
but you'd be working, sorry, what do you think?
Well,
September, October. I doubt that would affect anything, but
We have to do environmental reviews, so just, go through that whole process and, with the housing authority who before you, it's a big issue now with HUD and CDBG is radon.
Yeah.
So we had to do a radon test for their complex before, because I do the environmental reviews and I get stuck on a page and it won't let me go forward until I say, did you guys get a study done about radon? So I don't know if you're gonna share the cost with us, or maybe we could find some other funds there. I mean, they're big facilities, it might take a lot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's not a problem. Just so you're aware, I used to work for the city of Norwich in CDBG program. I actually started the lead abatement program here in town back in the 90s. And ran the rehab program for a little while before Wayne took over. Right now I work for Echo and have for just about 20 years now. And I write grants on a fairly regular basis. So I'm very aware. We just went through the same process you're going through now for priority needs funding through the state. So it's really not that big of an issue for us.
I'm good, I don't have any questions for you all. It's really understandable. And decent application. Valerie? Any questions? Angela?
All set. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you so much.
appreciate your presentation.
Thank you for the time. Thank you.
Take care. You folks can step right up.
How you doing? I'm Guy DeAndrea. I'm the maintenance manager for Thames River Community Service or Thames River Family Program. And Mike asked me to be here because of the technical aid of the chiller unit we're trying to replace and what we want to do. To your point about sharpening the pencil, when we originally submitted that proposal, it was a direct replacement for our chiller package. We have a part that's inside that's I brought some pictures because a lot of people don't know. Basically, the inside part of our chiller package, this is what cools the water down for our air conditioning. How we do it, we have fan coil units in the building. During the winter, we heat the water. And you can pass that around, that's part of that. And during the summer, we cool the water down using this chiller package. It's located in our basement. We have the package itself, which has the chiller barrel and the compressor in the basement. And you're gonna see a picture of the outdoor condenser. That's all one part that has to be replaced. When we originally went to this, everybody was going to direct replacement because it was easier than trying to rewire for the outside. They don't have to redesign it. Most of the contractors around here were smaller contractors. They didn't have the design capabilities to redesign it. We were lucky and found two people, New England Mechanical and this Corbett Engineering that came up with a newer system, which is similar to that, except that the compressor's outside. The chiller barrel stays inside in the control, but we have to redo the electrical work outside by another $4,000. But believe it or not, the price of that, doing that with all the extra work is $83,000 as opposed to $139,000 we originally proposed to you. I'm trying to get a second bid for this through New England Mechanical today to compare apples to apples. I mean, to get the direct replacement compressor, you know, they just take it out, put it in and all that. But this other one, even though we are gonna spend about $5,000 more on electrical, it's still cheaper than the package. And they guaranteed that it would suffice to feed it, because they have their own design department in there, so. So that's one thing we were gonna bring up today, was another proposal. I mean, we can go with this one, but that's 139. It went up from $119,000 in February of what, 25, I think I brought that one.
Yeah.
No, February, 4/1/24, we had the guy price it out. It was 119,000 then. Now, because of the labor rates, I think he overestimated the Bacon Davis labor rates. I think he went higher than the $37 or $40. I think he went closer to $80, which might have bumped it up. That's still 10% more. But this price here of 83 is a big significant. I was trying to get another one so I could compare apples to apples, and I haven't got that yet. New England Mechanical's working on that today. But that's original compressor and chiller that's been there, original outdoor condenser. They have to change the outdoor condenser and change the line sets if we go with the new system. The old ones, we don't have to change the electrical. We don't have to change the line sets, they'll test them because they're brazed, but the unit itself are harder and harder to find, because no one's making them that small anymore. Everybody I talked to, I've talked to 5 or 6 contractors, a couple of them didn't even want to bid them, a couple of them said it's too small for them, they're doing bigger chillers. And a couple of local people just said, I don't want to redesign it, so that's kind of where we're at now. I mean, I like the second proposal from Corbett, they do a lot of work through HUD and up at the colleges up there. But I'm trying to get another one so I can compare it to see, because like, that's different than this one, it does the same thing, but it does, if you see, we're gonna have to spend an extra $4,000 to do the electrical work. But then you're saving it on the package itself, because the packages are harder and harder to find, so you're paying more for the package itself.
So really, you're asking us for about 84,000.
Right, I think, yeah, instead of the 139, which is a big difference, yeah.
Yeah.
We wanted to shop, and I thought that was really crazy myself, you know, it's going up. And now I understand why, no one can find them. I mean, 3 contractors told me they couldn't find them. A couple people were willing to redesign it with the outdoor compressor, which is better in a sense, because the compressor's inside, it's noisy, it's right under our office, it's better outside. But then it's a little more work, but I thought it'd be more money, they thought the same thing, until he put pencil, you know, pen to pencil and paper, and he found out it was cheaper.
Craig, does this change anything in terms of just coming, I mean, essentially the scope of work is gonna be the same, but the proposal is different, does it affect the application in the sense of it's not like it's a new scope of work? Or what would you?
Well, I mean, 2 things. One, is this a new technology? I always worry, you know, I used to work for a town, they was gonna do a new wastewater treatment plant, importing this new
No.
technology.
No, just different, in other words, the compressor is gonna be outside. Right now, the compressor's inside, so we have a 208 3-phase electrical panel to power that. It's gonna go outside with a condenser, so they need to put that power outside, so we have to spend the extra $4,000 to move the power outside and the compressor outside. The chiller barrel is that second picture I showed you, the back end, is just that barrel will be in there controlled, the compressor is gonna be outside, so that's the only really difference. It's supposed to be the same size compressor, it'll do the same loads, pressure wise, but they have to change the line sets because it's different, which it's about a 50 feet of line set. 2 lines, maybe 100 feet, he looked at that, he measured that out. They usually braze them instead of solder them because of the high pressure and they last long. Like I said, that system's been in there since we opened in '92, since I've been there. And I never really had any leaks in that or that, but we're living on borrowed time, it's hard to find parts for that thing. When we've changed the compressor once, that outdoor coil, 30 years for outdoor coil without springing a leak, we're lucky. I mean, you know, we changed fan motors on it, but we haven't had to change the coil itself. Over time, the Freon has changed in it too. We started out with what, 22 now, you know, we can't get 22 now. The new one will have newer Freon in it. That's about the only newer technology.
Yeah.
As far as energy savings, it might be a little bit better, but they can't guarantee that. I mean, but the biggest thing is it's gonna be quieter. you know, it should be a little more efficient than the things, you know, we found that out when we did change the boilers. Now, I used to have two boilers the size of this big, this high. Now I'm doing one with the size of a water cooler that's heating the building, you know. Because they modulate and they run better. They've taken the outdoor temperature and they fluctuate. The same thing with this thing, but it's not gonna be new technology. It's still gonna have the coil and an outside condenser unit and a compressor. But the big thing is we have to pay more for electrical to change it. Otherwise, it'd be just a swap out, but yet we're paying more for the package. The condenser package and the chiller package with the compressor in it, so.
I mean, my concern, I mean, I don't want that they brought something in here, you know, at this presentation, it's a couple different things. My concern, and I always think about this, you know, this is a one-time money, you know,
Yeah.
once we give you the money, you can't come back in 6 months and say, oh, we need another 10, 15,000, because then it's all gonna be on you.
Right.
You know, we don't wanna cut it too skinny. I mean, we wanna try to do as much as possible with this, you know, bucket of money, but, you know, we don't wanna shortchange you, so
Right.
if you run into anything, you know, there's always that contingency you try to build into a project,
Right.
you know, so, it's okay, I mean, I don't think 83 is probably the final number for you, because, you know, you came in with 139, so,
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
that's two different things. That's why I was trying to compare apples to apples.
With it, so.
Yeah,
it's right.
And it's been taking a while, to get these quotes, so, because he's been really working on getting these quotes.
the guy from New England Mechanical called me today. His distributor was able to find a package unit like the first one I presented to you. He hasn't had time to put the quote together. He's gonna have that, so we'll be able to compare the first quote with that one. We'll see how close he was. And then this other technology, I'm trying to get a second quote for him to do that too, to move it outside to see what he could do with that. He said the same thing, it's gonna cost more to do the electrical and all, but if he can get the package part of it, the compressor and the condenser and the outdoor unit cheaper, then, you know, maybe that's the way to go.
I mean, once you're awarded the money, you're still gonna have to go out to bid, you know, and so then it depends on how you write your specs up.
Right.
Who can bid on it or give you a good number,
Right.
and who might not be able to give you a good number.
Well,
and
that's
stuff
what we're
like
working
that.
on. I've got two more people I've called. One guy was too far, he didn't wanna come down from Tallinn. A couple of the other people are too small, they don't wanna do it. And, you know, once I get, you know, if we're gonna go to the outside one, which seems to be the cheaper route, then, you know, I can get a couple more bids of those. And I'm also like, you know, trying to get another bid for the package, then we can compare. That's what's different with this. That's why these things are so different too. Scared the shit out of me too when I seen it. You know, how can it be, you know, that much difference in price without, you know,
Right.
doing it? How you doing?
Okay.
Now you see why I brought it over.
Yeah.
No, I've been there. We've been talking about this for years. We opened the place together. I've been there 30 years. Started as a part-time job 30 years ago. I'm still there, so. It's a good program. I've
How
seen
much
a lot of
life do
good
you have
happen to it.
left with the current system?
What's that?
How much life is there with the current system?
We just changed the compressor a couple years ago. So, you know, that part's easy. The chiller barrel, I don't know, since we haven't had time finding, if we can get another chiller barrel, that's the part that the water goes through. If that goes, that's my concern. The outdoor coil goes, that could be a problem, so it's hard to say. We've been putting together a lot of the controls for it. The guy I have, the contractor, NESC there, he's doing pretty good. He's been spitting bubble gum, keeping it running, you know. So I would, you know, it's hard to say. I was surprised.
Kind of like Band-Aids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hearing.
Yeah,
I mean, it's going now, but it's not.
99% of it's 32 years old, so I mean,
Yeah.
we're living on borrowed time, you know.
Yeah.
The compressor's the bigger item, obviously, because that does, but then that barrel that the water go through, you know, and it's only yay big, and I don't know if they make them that small, or you have to have it custom made. The outdoor coil, if you have to change that, you might as well change the whole package, because if you have to try soldering a coil, you gotta find the leak and all that, you know. The lines themselves are all exposed, so it's easy to change. Motors, we place motors on them, but the coil itself, and you figure that's to the elements, it's drawing air and water and dirt, you know, we flush it every year, we'll clean it, but eventually that's gonna spring a leak. It's just like your radiator in your car, you know, and that goes, and you have to change the whole thing. I don't even know what that part would cost. I'm sure that's gonna be up there a few $1,000s for that, you know. But the rest of them are small, like solenoids and some controls on the inside. It might not get the exact original manufacturer. We can do stuff with it, but the compressor too, who knows how long we can still get a compressor for that, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to explain a little bit better.
No,
what it is. was going on, so we could compare, that's why I
And
took
the
pictures
technical
too.
aspect, I knew, wanted to explain to them.
Yeah, no problem. And any quote we do, we'll still use the same labor rates, the vacant labor rates, and I still did I got the questionnaire that you asked for, I got copies, I give them all the contractors, so make sure they all know what they're looking at bidding on, you know. We did that, we replaced the windows in the place, we had a bid package, we gave it out, we got 5, 6 people bring in bids, and none of them matched what the bid package was, and of course, the state's gonna reject it, because they want certain type of windows. So trying to find contractors to follow, you know, well, I can do that, think you can go to Home Depot, buy the window we want, you can, you have to have a special window, so. It's always a fun part.
Of course. Are there any questions? Angela?
Nope, I'm all set. Thank you very much for the transparency too. I appreciate that conversation.
Thank you.
No further questions. Thank you.
Yeah, I heard what you said, there was the lead time, and I told everybody when I asked to bid on anything, especially if we go for grants and different things. To figure in a factor ahead of time, because it's not gonna happen right away, no matter what happens. I told these guys the same thing, you know, make sure, you know, availability, and it's not gonna. Happen in the next month, it's gonna, could be 2, 3 months, who knows?
Sure.
Thanks again.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you, thank you.
That was the
That was number
Seven.
7.
Yep, Thames River.
That was the 7. Exactly, and it is 6:47. So I see on the agenda, we're looking at deliberations.
If you want, you know, if you wanna wait till next Wednesday or this coming Wednesday.
Next Wednesday's gonna be a busy,
Mm.
oh, we only have 3.
Yeah, we're only doing the public services component of the regular allocation, you know, which, as you said, when you came in, it might not come down the pike, but we still have to go ahead, and some of these are tied into that, you know, I mean.
Yeah.
Housing Authority has a phase 2, same thing, out of the regular allocation, so.
Okay, so with regards to deliberations, do you have a spreadsheet up there with these numbers?
I do.
If you are ready, and with that, then we can consider maybe taking a look at that.
We only
going
got
in it.
7,
But
so
if it's not, then maybe we can consider doing this later. What's that?
We've only got 7, and I've got some recommendations, you know, for,
See, she's totally on top of it. So
cool.
Angela, can you see the screen?
Put 81,000 on number 6.
Hang on,
Can't see the screen.
Angela.
No. No, I can't see the screen.
Hold on. I don't
Yeah,
know why it doesn't
Just-
let me
just a
share
minute.
the screen.
She's gonna be sharing.
You ask some question.
What
You know what,
is-
bring,
So,
You said we're only doing 3, so I read all that.
oh,
So you're saying that.
Yeah. Just say share screen right now.
that's a whole.
With Angela.
12, so that's.
Go
for
ahead
another day.
and share
We're
the
gonna
screen.
do that.
That's why the 11th.
So expand that
was-
view.
We
Expand
didn't even
this
know
one?
the 11th and it was canceled.
Yeah.
Nope, just like right over here.
We didn't schedule like public services yet, you know, so.
I think that
Yeah.
was what.
To get
I
that
think
big, and then
she-
what you wanna do is you wanna share the
She sent a
screen,
note
so.
out the day that said the meeting on the 11th is
Oh,
canceled.
share, there,
Yeah.
there.
We didn't even know we had
Okay.
it.
And then
Yeah.
share,
Schedule.
and then
Yeah,
you want
we only had
to
3 and 5.
basically, I think,
So
click
that's right,
that.
Three for the 5th, that's it, and then
Yeah.
that's as
And
far as
share.
we got,
Thank
but
you.
the committee could say a date they wanted to come back, you know.
Great,
me know
there
when
it
you
is.
see it,
Yep,
Angela.
thank you.
Got it,
Perfect.
awesome.
Can we agree to put number 6, 81,000? As a fully fund, you know, and not have to have any discussion on that, because that's the matching. That's almost a requirement.
I'm okay with that, I think.
So basically what we're looking at is, if I'm not mistaken, we're looking at 390,931 overage in terms of the requested amount. Is this correct? So basically, we need to trim from the project applications that have been presented, 390, almost 391,000 roughly, basically.
Right, but line number 6 is a hard number. And it's in $3.1 million is contingent on us funding.
I have no problem with that. I'm just stating a fact that basically, in order for this to go forward, like, essentially, so you understand, like, basically, they're asking, hang on, this is to Valerie, so we have 1.2 million in applications right now. And we have 819,000 available CDBG funding.
Okay.
So we have more requests than we have availability of funding. So essentially, what we have to do is we can only fund up to what's available, 819. The overage is, the overage is 390,000. So 931, so that's how much we would have to basically trim from that. So yes, I would absolutely agree with you that,
I just
you know,
wanted,
if you wanna put it, if
actually,
you wanna put
I
it
made that recommendation, so we can just move on.
right in there, just so we know, so
Yeah,
it's
so
obvious to
we could
see,
just-
or make it, I don't know, the cell block, some color, something like that. Oh, no, you don't have to, whatever, that's cool, that works. I love it, I'm so glad you're so set up with that. I'm gonna make a recommendation really quickly, right here, and I'm just gonna throw it out there that I appreciated, Thames River Community Services. I thought that their application was good. I think he knows a lot. I don't think they're ready. I think they still need to, get quotes. They still need to tighten up exactly what they need to do. You know, I would like their application, I would like him to have had those quotes already and have a tight application before he came in here. I'm not saying the project's not a good one, I just don't think we've got, you know, we don't have extra funding. And just like Craig says, you know, I mean, sure, you wanna go down to, you know, initially you're asking for 139,380, and now you're saying you only need, you know, what is it,
$57,000 left.
83, but we don't wanna just give 83, or we don't wanna just get, you know, so essentially they're not ready. Yeah,
I agree 100% with that, Gemma. I think that, yep.
Okay, then let's,
you good, Angela? Yeah.
Yep.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
So we can,
Let's zero that out.
line 6 and 7 are already done. All we have to do is now discuss lines 1 through 5.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So with that, so yeah, so with Thames River, just highlight that 0 as a red. Just make the numbers red, if you would.
Yeah, so are we gonna do
Thank
the
you.
numerical or alphabetic scoring this year?
So, right, so why don't we do
Alphabetic.
alphabetical scoring? I mean, we could rate, as we did last
B,
time,
C?
projects A, you know, in A through F in terms of if you were grading an exam. And we'll do that first. So,
Norwich Housing Authority, A for me.
so on the outside of that, so let's say column E or column H, either one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead and do that. So Norwich Housing Authority was an A. Keep
That
going.
was an A, top rating.
And Norwich Public Works, just run down them all.
Oh, you want me to do
Yeah.
Public Works? I think that's a partial fund. Give it a B for me. Blight, I think that's another place where we could massage the number a little bit. I'll give it a B. Same with Eastern Connecticut opportunities. I don't think that their Boswell Ave was ready. The same with number 5, a B for me. We were
So you're running
basically-
down Bs straight down, basically.
Yeah, so all
Lead-
those are
Lead hazard, though,
negotiable
you're gonna be
numbers.
giving that an A, obviously.
What's that?
Lead hazard, though, you're gonna give that an A.
Oh, lead
Yeah,
hazard, that's
I know
a,
you said it, but we gotta match up a number there. I mean, a letter there.
okay.
So that's an
Give it
A.
an A.
What about the radar?
And that was a
mark?
B.
B.
Yeah, do me a favor, please, if you will, on the left-hand side. On the
Okay.
left,
Of the
the
screen?
initial, the initial block on the left, would you please remove the 139,380 so that we can see the total number now that we're working with? So,
No, she's got a number, there's a number already on the right, it's highlighted in yellow. At the bottom of the screen, that's the total funds that are remaining. If
well, I
we
know
fund
the total
81,000.
remaining, but what I'm looking for basically is I wanna know the total now, if we remove that one application, how much
140
is
from-
submitted? So what I'm asking for her to do is to just zero that out for a minute.
Okay,
Okay, so basically now, did that screw you up on the right-hand side?
No,
No,
Okay,
no, that's not
so
connected.
basically, I just wanted to see, you know,
it's
in
like
terms of,
200,000 now.
yeah. So. I guess what I'd like to
200.
see is, I'd like to see that difference that we're looking at.
$250,000.
Is that after you took the
I-
200 from the sidewalks?
Yeah, I think that's
No,
screwed up somehow, like,
that's
what's it,
because we took,
738? What is that right now?
the 139
738
from-
is, so it is
I
what we,
don't understand that number.
that's what we had left, because we only have
Oh, that's how
allocated
much
81,000
390.
after the 81,000,
Took
which is.
140,
I see what you're saying.
So we should be at like
So what I'd
260.
like to see basically is
Where
what's the
we
difference
get
between
meters of ground between the
uh,
other applications.
819 and 107, 320.
Should be really close to 260.
It's 252.
252, awesome, that's the number I'm looking for.
I mean, Echo, number 4, they've got 3 properties, right? And you felt the French drain wasn't ready. I mean, they're gonna
Yeah,
have to drill into ledge. I mean, it's a little.
yeah, and that's a project that, yeah, yeah. So
So let's
So we
keep, well,
could-
so let's keep going down before we
Oh,
start
yeah,
talking
you-
about it.
I'm not the only, I'm the only one that's put a vote down, so go ahead.
Exactly. Valerie, please, rate them, start with Norwich Housing Authority, what do you give that?
Sure, only have glasses. I'm trying to see that far.
I know, right?
That's the boiler replacement.
The boiler replacement phase
Yeah.
1 and initial, and they are asking for, right now, they're asking for 225. Right now, they
Sorry.
also provide, they're the place off Asylum,
Yeah.
and they also provide, rent controlled to, that you just don't see very much around here. My son right now is looking for a place,
No, my mother's
cause he's
saying
got a job down in West Haven and
the
it-
rent.
he
My
can't
daughter's
get
paying
anything, yeah, he can't get
1,800.
anything for less than 2,000 a month. I mean, you're talking about just like a
Yeah.
studio, I mean, that you'd want to live in.
For 18, trust me, it's not what you're thinking.
Yeah.
They're paying, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's very
It's
bad.
bad.
Yeah.
It's.
So anyway, so I guess my
I would-
point being is
that
this is
would
pretty
be number
valuable.
1 to me.
This is pretty valuable
That was number A
to
to
me.
me.
So what do you rate it?
The first one with the boilers, that's number A
Yeah,
to me.
okay. I'm gonna say A as well too. We can run down this. So
Yeah.
so put an
Me
A there.
too.
Okay,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
all right, Angela, good. Norwich Public Works, Taftville. I'm gonna go with B,
Okay, yeah.
or actually C. I'll say
I would
C.
do C, 'cause
I just think that the ones that are left are all negotiable numbers.
All right, but
That's-
let's keep
but
it.
go ahead.
Yeah, but we're actually trying to put a number,
Yeah.
letter to this
I
right
would
now.
put that too.
So
B, C.
I
I'm
would
saying
say
C.
C.
All right, so C. Angela, what about you?
C.
I know if you want.
Alright, Blight, so that would be demo, that would be the property demo.
I would do a B on that one.
I'm gonna do, okay, you do B, I'm gonna do an A. Angela,
I think I would lean to an A.
Echo,
That's the,
The man and the woman that came towards the end.
And what are your issues with that? I mean, you were just bringing up the fact that, you know, there is ledge, they might have to, are you thinking that maybe the cost is gonna explode a little bit because, or what?
Well, we're encountering doing like decks in the back of a building and it's getting to be astronomical. I mean, that's one I think Wayne had. That basically he had done all the work, but we were gonna have the property owner deal with it and. Building had gone out, looked at it and said, you're gonna take the whole thing off. Put a whole new deck on it, so it's not cheap. I haven't had a chance to talk to Wayne, but you know, I mean. What do they want for this? They wanted the 118 for 23-24 Fairmonts. And then the 418, 420 Norwich, they wanted 41. But
the 3 stories versus 2.
yeah, so I mean.
And I thought those were, you know. I just have a sense of. You know, and they're gonna probably put silent tubes in, you know. My neighbors. Was told by the building department that he had to put 30-inch sonotubes in, never even heard of them. But that's because there's an inland wetlands issue.
Oh.
And plus the owner is an absentee owner and I think he squawked a little too loud. And so they're really putting the screws to him, but this fella sounded like he has.
Sorry, what?
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Are these properties, are they owned by other people?
No, they're owned by.
An organization.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Based in the
Okay.
London.
All right.
So I do have to do that, but that's, I'm gonna go with B on
I'm
that.
doing B.
B,
Yeah.
okay, Angela, what about you for Echo?
I would agree with a B on that as well.
All right, awesome. Radon testing, to me, I'm gonna give that an A. I think that it's a requirement, first of all.
I would give that an A.
Yeah.
Yeah, A as well.
Oh, yeah, capital A's, come on now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have given that an A, but I didn't
Yeah,
know
but you
where.
didn't, but you didn't. No,
But I
no,
didn't.
take
Well,
that.
because I don't know where the, you know, where are we
All
gonna,
right, lead paint, A,
Yes. Let paint can do a job.
Angela?
Okay.
So funny.
A.
I'm fine with that as well, yeah.
Yeah, it would.
So basically, so then if we do that, all right, so then if we do that, so why don't you go ahead and you make. So everything that we line up on, let's put those numbers in, so we've got that 81,000.
so give them
Norwich Housing
225.
Authority, that's 225, right?
Yes,
Um,
and Blight, the demolition is 90.
oh,
Number 3.
Yeah,
but the
the demo, okay, so, okay, but that has, yes, the
That
demo
has
is 90, but the thing is, we've got 2 Bs and 2 As, so. Let's go with 90, we'll go with 90 because we've got a couple Cs up there, yeah. And can we see the bottom, can we see what it's shaking out to be right now? So we got 513 left, oh, we've got 423 left, okay, keep going. Wanna do radon testing?
60.
Oh, it's not.
But he said he could get away with 45.
Right, I mean, this is what it looks like, when we do a drawdown. So we've got lead, let's say we got a project that just lead per se, no CDBG, so lead. And then he's gonna probably do something, maybe some other work with the match, so we'll draw down from that. And if a radon test has to happen, then we'll take it out of there, that's how that project will work, so. 45, I mean.
So you're saying for radon, 45?
That's what he got,
Yeah, I got him to say 45 would be a good number.
He did say that, didn't he?
Yes, he did, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so put down 45.
And the reason I'm saying this is we cut sidewalks out 2 years in a row, 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
2
well, at
years
least
in a
one year
row.
in a row, but I
No, we did-
I
we-
thought today's presentation was really good. I'm not up for slashing them all together.
No, I'm,
I think that they are on a really good run this time. My feeling right now, they're looking for 415,
which is half the money we have.
which is, yeah, exactly. So.
They're always looking for half the money we have.
So let's see, let's hold them out. My idea
Let's-
is, let's hold them out last and see how much is left
Well,
over that we could push to
Eastern
them.
Connecticut housing opportunities, we want to slash off $59,000 off of that 200,000.
That makes it 141 and change, right? Is that?
Right.
How much are we gonna slash off, you think?
We're gonna slash off the Boswell Avenue.
It's 59,150.
So, okay, so bring it down to 140.
Yeah, 140, 141, whatever.
141,
Bring it
Yeah.
down to 141 then.
you know, I'm the round
The
number
Echo,
guy. I can't
141.
stand pennies.
You're not the only one.
Alright, what are we looking
Oh,
at?
what, who you
Oh,
calling
so
me?
237.
There.
Sorry.
So how much we have left now?
That's pretty interesting.
Why don't we give that to?
Give that to the sidewalk. okay.
Sidewalks.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
And I was trying to figure out what a linear foot went from, what would go for, and of course, they're doing curbs and they're probably putting the plastic stuff down
He
and.
said it was 225.
225, so that's, I mean, you can get a lot of linear feet for two.
That's a decent amount. That's not a
Yeah.
small, that's a decent chunk. We're not
That's
giving them a
1,000
pittance like
feet.
Yeah,
70,000.
that's a good, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that 1,000? That's 1,000.
It's a good run, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, at
Yeah.
least over 1,000, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I think that looks pretty good.
motion to accept those proposed dollar amounts. Anybody second?
I'll second
Any
that.
discussion?
Angela,
Nope, I'm good. Yep.
you like
All
that?
in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, yes.
Second.
Okay, before I read all that stuff for Wednesday, what am I not reading? Cause you said there's only 3, and there's a whole bunch in there.
Yeah.
So he
I
gave us
read
the 3 that are gonna be
These-
presenting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's as much as you definitely have to be, you have to.
Where's that at?
You gave me this email.